Alright, let's get started. You should have downloaded Notepad++. If you haven't downloaded it yet, just go to download.com. The link is at getmyhw.com. I already put it there if you want to go ahead and get it. You should have it already. If not, just go to download.com, type in Notepad++, and it will be the very first one, this one right here. So just go ahead, click, download that, and that's the text editor we're going to be using throughout the year. You can use your own. You don't need to use Notepad++, but that's the what we have on the laptops that we're going to be using. So once you have that, let's go ahead and just create a basic document to get started. First thing you need to do is let's create a new folder. So go to new folder. It doesn't matter, you can name it whatever you want. I'll just leave it called new folder. Go ahead, open that up and create inside, right click, oops, let me do this here, right click, new, and you can't see it, let me do that a little higher. There we go. Right click, new, and you want a new text document. So go ahead, click that, and you'll get a new text document there. It doesn't matter what you name it. Once again, I'm going to call it index, but what's important is the extension. Change it from txt to HTML. It'll ask you if that's okay. Click yes, and you might get a different icon than me. That's okay, as long as it's index.html. Also make sure that the extensions are showing. If you don't see a .txt when you create a new document, if you create a new document, a new text document, and you don't see this .txt, you need to make sure that you have the extensions viewed. So go up here to your menu bar and click View, and make sure that File Name Extensions is checked. If it's not checked, you notice there's no file extensions, so you need to make sure that's checked. Okay. So since we have a new one here, let's go ahead and rename this, and we'll name this script.js, short for JavaScript. And let's create one more. So new text document, and let's call it style. We need a style sheet. So style.css. Okay, so those are the first things that you need. Okay, so go ahead and click yes. So you should have something.html, something.js, and something.css. Once again, what you name those is up to you. So if you double click on index.html, the first thing you'll notice is it opens up in a browser. Okay, it does not open up in in Word or whatever. So you get a browser to open up. So let's go back to our folder, right click, and edit with Notepad++. You may have to add this option, okay, but it might be there when you just install it. So once again, right click with your mouse. If you're using a Mac, I don't know what it is. You'll have to look that up. And then edit with Notepad++. Once again, you don't need to use Notepad++, so if you're on a Mac and you have a different text editor, feel free to use it. Okay, so let's go ahead and open that up. And it should look something like this. And let's go ahead and do a little bit of HTML here. So let's go ahead and open bracket, exclamation point, doc type, HTML. Okay. So this tells the browser when you first open it in a browser that this is the newest version of HTML. Okay, it's the HTML5 everyone talks about, which is, I don't know why they talk about it, it's just the newest version of something. So let's create our first HTML tag. Okay, if you're using Notepad, notice it turns blue, and this is a standard HTML tag. And one thing you do have to remember is when you open a tag, you have to close it. Okay, when you open a tag, you have to close it, and how you close it is with a forward slash. Okay, so now let's create the head tag. And let's close the head tag. And now let's create a body tag, and let's close the body tag. Okay, so once again, when you open a tag, you got to close it. And so we opened the head tag, and then we closed it, then we opened the body tag, and then we closed it. Okay. So in the head tag, and you might want to, I like to indent to make sure things stay organized. That's up to you, but if you have everything like left flush like that, it's kind of hard to follow. Okay, so, and by the way, that's, if you highlight and hit tab, it tabs it over. If you hold shift and tab, it moves it back. So forward, backward. So in the head tag, let's go ahead and put a title. Open it. Type anything you feel like typing. Hello world. Standard first message for programming, and then close it. Okay. So hello world. Okay, open the title tag and then close it, and this goes in between the head. So hit Control S. Control S saves it, or just File Save. Go back to your browser, and if we refresh it, notice the tab changed to Hello World. So that's how you change whatever it is you want the tab to say. Go ahead and put whatever you feel like putting. That's up to you. So let's go back, and let's look at one of the most used HTML objects, and that would be something called a div. So inside the body tag, let's open up a div tag, and let's close the div tag. And once again, I just keep indenting to make things look nice. Save it as you go along. You don't want anything to close on you, and then you have to redo the whole thing. And just type something in here. This is my first div. So save that, Control S, go back to your browser, refresh it. Now of course you don't see the actual div because we haven't done anything to it. Okay, so we're going to do that right now. So the first thing we need to do is we need to assign an ID. So inside of this first div tag here, let's give it an ID. ID equals, and it has to go in quotes, my div. Okay. It doesn't make any difference what you call this. Okay. Just give it an ID. Okay. But now we need to do something with it. We need to style it, and that's something that goes into our style.css. Okay, so the styling goes in this file right here. Okay, but our HTML document doesn't know how to talk to this style.css yet. So what we have to do is we have to connect the two, and the way we do that is with a link tag. Okay, so open up. Once again, you'll see it's blue, and this is going to turn red because I haven't closed the blue right here. Okay, so type in the following: rel equals style sheet. Okay, type equals text /CSS. CSS stands for cascading style sheet. And then href equals, in quotes, and what goes in this href right here has to be exactly what you named it right here. So I called mine style.css. So if you called it something else, you need to adjust for that. So mine is style.css. And now remember, when you open a tag, you got to close it. Okay, now this is a self-terminating tag. Okay, I don't need to do this, okay, because I did it right here. So this is just another way to close a tag. But you got to be careful because not all tags can be self-terminated. Okay, for example, a div. A div needs an opening tag and it needs a closing tag. Okay, but a link can be self-terminating, meaning just do that and now that is closed. And you'll know because the next tag is blue. So now what this does is this line right here allows this HTML document to talk to everything that's on my page, in this case, my div. So now, right-click on style.css, edit with Notepad++, and notice I now have style.css open. Now, when you see this red up here, that means it's not saved. Okay, so when it's blue, you've made no changes, but when it's red, it's not saved. So hit Control-S, and now it's saved. So now let's do something with this div. Like I said, when we come over here and we hit Control F5, refresh our browser, there's nothing there. It's just, this is my first div. So let's go to the style and pound my div. Now, it has to be whatever you have here has to be exactly what you have here. So if you don't call it my div and you call it something else, you need to put the same thing here, but you have to have the pound sign. So what you're going to do is you're going to open a curly brace, drop down a little bit, and close the curly brace. Let's do it like this. Okay. So open a curly brace, close a curly brace. It's where the brackets are on your keyboard. They're in the right, upper right, kind of, near the Enter key. So the first thing we're going to do is let's add a position, and I'm going to position this absolute. And please make sure you have the semicolon. You have to have that semicolon, and it's going to drive you crazy at times because you forget that and everything can mess up. So let's say left, let's call it 20 pixels. PX stands for pixels. Once again, please notice I have the semicolon. And these numbers are totally up to you. Do whatever put whatever numbers you feel like putting. Let's put a top of 10 pixels. Let's put a width of, I don't know, 100 pixels. And a height of, I don't know, let's go 100 pixels. Let's make it square. Now if you save it and refresh, you're still not going to see anything because all we did is place it. So let's give it a color. Say background, pick a color, purple. And let's do something a little lighter, blue. So save that. So now if you go back to your browser, make sure it's saved, make sure these aren't red. If we go back to our browser and we refresh, okay, so we've created a square div. Let's make it a little wider. Let's make it 200 pixels. And save that. And then change this color. You know, change it to red. Save it, Control-S, refresh your browser. And there you go. So let's give it a border. And let's make it, I don't know, inset 5 pixels and a color. How about light gray? So save that, Control-S, refresh your browser. And now notice we have a border. So if you change this left right here from 20 to, let's call it 50, save it, you'll notice it moved over. Okay. Oops, don't want that. And now maybe you want these corners to be rounded instead of pointy. So let's go over here, say border, hyphen, radius. And then pick a number, 10 pixels. Okay. Save that, refresh your screen, and now you have this nice rounded border. Now, there's a lot of different border types, And we're going to stop it right here, just because I've already been going on for about 10 minutes, at least. And try putting some more divs. Put a second div, and instead of my div, call it first div, do second div, do third div. Put a div inside of a div. You could easily do that, and just kind of fiddle with color, positioning, etc. This is just the basics before we get into the programming that we're going to do next year, but we need some objects to move around and to animate, etc. Okay. Now, if you get stuck and you want a different border, because I don't have these things memorized, it's impossible to memorize all these things. There's way more than just inset as far as borders are concerned. So here's what you do. You simply go to Google or Yahoo, whichever one you want to use. So I'll go to Yahoo. And if you look around, you'll see divs, by the way, all over the place. Here's a div. Okay. Here's a div right here. Divs are by far the most commonly used HTML objects. So suppose you forgot something about a div. All you have to do is type in HTML div border. Let's say I forgot. The first two hits, you've got the W3 schools, which you're going to use a lot next year, and Stack Overflow. We'll be using Stack Overflow more for the programming. But if you have trouble with anything, all you do is type in HTML and whatever you're having trouble with. Click it, and it gives you everything you need about borders. So here's a div with a rounded border. And it also tells you what browsers that they work for. If you're using before IE9, you really need to upgrade. Most of you probably aren't even using IE anyway. So here they give you 3 examples, and then the best part is they have this try it yourself. So you come over here, and they give you a style and some different paragraph tags, and you can go ahead and fiddle with this. For example, this pea soup green color, we can change that to purple. Click see result, and it's now purple. Okay, so I'll go ahead and stop there. That's just an introduction to divs. I'll add to this every time, so don't throw this away. I'll go ahead and add some more divs and some text boxes and some buttons and a few other things, so that way we don't spend too much time when we get back just doing the basics of HTML. Okay? Check back in about a week or so, and I'll have a second video up. Okay.